Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Smack the Markets midweek market update live trading stream for this Wednesday, the 3rd of March. So whilst we're getting started, if I can just ask you to take a few moments to read through the risk disclaimer here and make sure that you're comfortable with it. In brief, what we're saying is that the information that we provide during the session today is purely cited for illustrative and education purposes only. We're not licensed to be able to give advice, and the opinions and opportunities that we discuss are purely just our opinion only on the markets. Morning, Patricia. Hi, John. Okay, so we've got some interesting things developing in the market, certainly looking a bit better now, aren't they? So a bundle of news today. Fergal went through the news schedule in the morning prep. Of course, highlights, we've got the ADP numbers and also the UK budget as well, probably one of the closest budgets ever to be watched. From a strengths and weakness perspective, we've got strong Caddy, Great British Pound, Aussie and Kiwi, although they seem to be weakening off a little bit as the morning's progressing. But the dominating features are still the weakness in the yen and the Swissy. And this morning, we've got a weak euro as well. So let's just take a quick review of the markets that we discussed on Monday and see how they sort of fared. Now, the gold trade here, the pullback to the 1750 level in the context of the short trend played out very, very nicely. And that's moving down nicely now. We've had a retracement and now the market's starting to weaken off again to the short side. Of course, with the economies opening back up again and the strength of the dollar is both having a double impact on the on commodities, and gold sort of suffering from that. So gold now underneath that sort of 1750 level. It's actually now sort of down to that sort of 1725 sort of price point. It's really into that new trading window, which sort of sees it down to around that sort of 1600 level. So still, sorry, 1650 level. In fact, I've got a level about 1660 on the futures contract, and that's still quite a distance to the short side, and we've still got a very strong trend on this to the short side. So again, I still think, you know, we look for opportunities on shorting the gold market. Morning, Michael. Hi, Miles. So then we talked about the Dow. Now, of course, on Monday, this wasn't quite so easy. We've had quite a retracement here in the Dow, and the market's rallied up to some very key levels. If I just sort of zoom out of this slightly, we can see a little bit more context as to what's sort of going on here. So big key levels that have really been in play here have been that 30,900 level, the 31,000 level, the 31,300 and the 31,600. Now that 31,600 coincides with the top end of this range up here. And as you can see, we've now sort of tested the lower level down here. Now we're sort of moving back up to the top end of this range. At the moment, index markets are looking pretty bullish. And I think if we get a breakout through here, then we'll look for these new highs. I mean, there's nothing in the way here on the Dow between 31,600 and right the way up to this 32,000 at the highs. So that could be quite an interesting move. So index markets continue to be quite an interesting market to play on an intraday perspective. But from a swing perspective at the moment, I think it's they're looking sort of rather wide at the moment, the structures, and a bit sort of sideways here too. So what else did we discuss on Monday? Oh, Cad Yen. So again, I mean, there was multitude of different Forex markets, but the Cad Yen being the most sort of set up, the most interesting that we flagged up on the day. In fact, we've had some nice trades on this one already this week. And I think, Miles, tell me, are you still in this one? I know you were the other day. You were holding in some of this position already. I don't know if you're still into that. But the reason why we like this one over above a lot of the other yen markets was that the daily setup had actually played out. And again, you can see that the market continuing to strengthen here. Today, we've still got strength in the caddy. We've still got weakness in the yen. So strengths and weaknesses, again, continuing to support this to the long side. So again, could be opportunities here to look at new positions here. It still looks like plenty of distance as this trend continues. So I'm just sort of coming down the time frames here just to see what else we've got. So you're out of it now. Good run. Yeah, well done, Miles. I mean, I got three targets out of it, and I know it went on for many more. So nice trade. Morning, Martin. So again, I mean, I think the yens could be some of these markets to really sort of keep in focus, because as again you can see here on the Cad Yen on the 15-minute chart, again fairly sort of reasonable sort of structure here. We're at the start of the morning as well, and the market again starting to sort of break out to the long side. So we'll go through the yen markets in a moment. Coming back to the commodities, a lot of the commodities at the moment, again, yeah, I think gold is probably one of the nicer ones. Let's just have a look here. Silver's very, I mean, silver's looking sort of fairly interesting, but it's not the easiest of structures to trade. It's not the cleanest of price action. What I do like though is potentially sort of platinum, and if we just have a quick look at platinum here, I'll show you what I mean. If we have a look at this on the sort of come up to the really high time frames to start with. So we can see that we've got a fairly reasonable trend here in platinum. I mean, platinum's an industrial metal as well. It's likely to benefit from economies expanding and opening up. And you can see that the market has now sort of slipped back, and we're sort of printing sort of fairly interesting price candle here on the weekly chart. And we're halfway through this week, of course, so you know this has still got time to develop. But you come and take a look at this on the daily chart, and we can see that the market's sort of pulled back in to sort of areas through here where we've had previous resistance, and now sort of price acting as a areas of support. And again, we've just got this sort of sideways consolidation, but it's bullish sort of sideways consolidation starting to form. And I'm thinking that we could be starting to see a bit of a turn here and a continuation to the long side on platinum. If that's the case, we've got quite a nice area here to start to look for sort of positions. Again, if we come down to the 4-hour time frame, we've got a double bottom here with divergence, so indicating strength coming back into the trend. Haven't really got a breakout above the high yet, but it's starting to develop there, as you can see. Let's just come down to the lower time frames again. This sort of double bottom. Actually, in fact, you can come down to the hourly chart. We've now got a third test of this low and rejection again. So again, just really sort of reinforcing this. I liking this. I think we'll see platinum start to see a move higher in platinum, and I think it could be market here to start to keep an eye on. Trends are starting to change now on these lower time frames too. So I've got platinum there on the watch list for the commodities. Okay, so there's so much out there to view on the as interesting markets. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Tell me which ones you think are the best ones. There's got to be some Swissy and yen markets. Now, I've already just mentioned, in fact, John mentioned Aussie yen, and I mentioned Kiwi yen again in the markets at the trading room this morning. This again, we've got strengths and weaknesses supporting these markets to the long side. They're already in nice forming trends at the moment. And I don't think there's an awful lot between the Aussie and the Kiwi. Only the fact that when I looked at the strengths and weaknesses this morning, I was getting a stronger reading on the Kiwi at the time. Morning, Andrew. So we got nice sort of consolidation coming in here. Again, if you start to come down the time frames, we've got a nice sort of breakout potentially starting to form here. And again, strengths and weaknesses supporting this. So the sort of expectation is for a continuation to the long side. Now, where would be starting to look for targets? Well, I'd probably be looking sort of somewhere up here as initial sort of targets at the moment, which is plenty of distance from any sort of potential trade here. Probably sort of 2 or 3 targets by the time we get up there. The Kiwi as well, so this is very similar. Again, if we now Kiwi Yen, again, if we have a look at this, from a higher time frame perspective, we've got the pullback into the moving averages. It's now sort of the daily move is playing out, and again we've got that same level on that's similar to what we had on the Aussie as well. So best way I'm thinking to play this is possibly a breakout above the high, and then we can be looking at a stop underneath the low here. That's the way I'm sort of looking at this. I don't think we've got anything cleaner on the lower time frames at the moment. Not really. I mean, when we look at this on the 15-minute chart, we're still going to be looking at possibly, the same thing really. Breakout above the high. That's the stop on the hourly, is just under here. We might be able to get a tighter stop once the market starts to move. So what other yen markets have we got? Oh, I actually had pound yen as well, because I mean, the one challenge I suppose with sterling is that we've got quite a news heavy day today, and quite a big news day today. So maybe sort of focusing on some of those other yen markets might be a little bit easier for a yen play. But let's just have a look at how things are setting up here. So again, the same sort of structures that we're seeing on these on the other yen markets, looking nice from a daily perspective, looking for a sort of continuation. And there looks plenty of distance, possibly up to this 150 level on pound yen. So give me a good idea Miles, we could go half each, split the risk on the trade. I think it's a very good thing to do. And that by means, I would imagine you're looking at the Aussie and the Kiwi. I'm just wondering if there's actually any other sort of yen markets that we could perhaps look at. See the Aussie, the Euro Yen. Again, Fergal mentioned this last night. It's looking, it's actually had sort of quite a good move now already. I'm not sort of loving this sort of price action here. And those higher time frames looking similar. Okay, so have we missed any of those? I mean, there is dollar yen, of course. So I'm just having a look across other yen markets at the moment. Okay, I think we're sort of covering the best ones there. So let's come back to the Swisses now and take a look at some of those Swisses. So again, we've got a lot of weakness in the Swissy today, as indeed we have had for a while. So the dollar here looking fairly interesting. So we could look at something here on dollar Swiss if this actually starts to find a bit of support in here. We really want to see support coming in at this level where we've had sort of resistance, and we want to find it around here. So actually, where are we on there? So by 1/2 past, if we've got a tight setup here, that could be something to potentially take an interest in. What else have we got? Pound Swiss. I mean, these are all going to look fairly similar on the higher time frames. Not sure the pound Swiss is looking the best actually. Cad Yen has moved quite nicely this morning. The Cad Swiss, that is. Really, we need a pullback on this one before looking at an entry. And then it's not going to be particularly nice. We've got a high here, a lower high, Now we've got a higher high, and we get a pullback, we're probably going to end up with a lower high again. And the indicators here just looking a bit weak as the market's sort of progressing. So let's see what others we've got. So Euro Swiss is looking interesting, but it's there again. I think the euro is quite weak this morning. So we've got two weak markets here, and it's weak playing against the weaker. So again, there are going to be better, stronger markets to play. Even if we start to look at, I think, things like the Aussie Swiss, obviously one of our favourites recently. That's a good chart. Not sure why I've got a gap in that. Nice, Michael. We're into Kiwi Yen. Fantastic. Actually, I'm in Kiwi Yen already. Let me have a look at Kiwi Yen. I was in that from last night. She didn't do anything. It just went sideways. Oh, yes. Oh, Kiwi Yen moving. There we go. So with this one, if we just sort of talk about trade management, obviously the usual rules apply when we get to cover the risk. I'm thinking, we could be seeing a bit of a move on this one. I'm looking for possibly up to towards these recent highs. I'm not going to go for the whole highs, but possibly up into this sort of mid-range here, about sort of 78, 80, that sort of area. That's what I'm looking at. So this is ultimately likely to turn, depending upon how it goes, but likely to turn into a bit of a swing play. Right, so what else have we got? Let's come and have a look at a couple of different things. So Aussie Dollar. So again, we're looking this morning to see if we could get a move on this. Now, see if we're going to get any strength and continuation of this move on the Aussie. Now, coming down to the sort of lower time frames, the one thing that sort of put me off this, or thought that we might be in this for a bit of more of a sideways consolidation, is this divergence that's just sort of creeping in on these lower time frames. And as you can see, we're just sort of grinding sideways on this at the moment. The other one that I was looking at was the euro. Now, if we have a look at the euro, the big levels on this, of course, that 120 level down here where the market hit the nose, and then we got the retracement. There's a number of things going on here yesterday, and I know there's a ton of options being expired as well, but I'm favouring this actually shorter. Now, of course, we've got weak euro today. It's not the weakest currency, but it is showing up as weak, and we may well, I'm quite liking this for a retest down here to that 120 level. But we've got to go through a raft of news today, haven't we, on both dollar and euro. Okay, I mean, other than the ones that Fergal flagged up this morning, so the caddy, again, looking nice on this, and it's probably one of the best dollar weakness plays on the majors out there, I think, at the moment. But still, I agree with Fergal. I think we need to really sort of see a break through these lows, these recent lows, because there's too much congestion around here. There's something to get a bit of a better clean entry. So the sort of thing that I'm thinking here is if we could get a break underneath this sort of 126 level, and then maybe a pull back and a rejection off it, that sort of may well start to look nice then. And then we've got a trading window, well, possibly down to these old lows down here, so quite a distance to the short side. So sort of a break, a pullback and a rejection, and then we can get a stop tighter to the 126 level. Okay, what else have we got? So Kiwi Dollar, okay, at the moment starting to look fairly good if we can get a breakout above the high here. There's still some, this needs to sort of play around, this divergence needs to work its way out. Okay, so I think we're certainly covering some of the best ones out there, I think, at the moment. Has anyone else got anything else to cover this morning? So I think some of the best markets, obviously, we've got to keep an eye on those dollars. Some nice dollar plays, the yens, the Swisses, and I think the pairs against them that are going to be most active are looking like the Aussies and the Kiwis, and possibly some of those sterling markets today. But as I say, sterling, we've got plenty of news congestion today. Okay, so let's start to wrap up now. We've got quite a bit to keep an eye on. So again, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy it, if you like these, and remember to subscribe if you want to be notified to join next session, or sign up to the Smack the Markets newsletter off our website, and we'll send you a link to the next sessions that we run. Okay, everybody, thank you very much. Certainly hope you found it useful, and we'll catch you later in the trading room. Thanks, everybody, and cheers for now.